Do you feel like you're barely keeping your head above water? That no matter how hard you try, meaningful progress remains out of reach? Heather gets that. She battled an eating disorder for years before seeking help. Now in recovery, Heather is here to tell you that positive change is possible even when it doesn't feel that way. Join her as she shares openly about her struggles and small triumphs. Fair warning though, Heather doesn't hold back. Her candid story may trigger some. But for those wanting honesty, hope, and healing, this is 1% Better with Heather. The information and stories shared on 1% Better are based on host Heather's personal experiences with eating disorders and mental health challenges. Heather is not a licensed doctor, therapist, dietitian, or other health professional. Her advice and opinions should not be taken as professional medical advice. Please consult your physician or a qualified health provider regarding any medical or health-related issues. 1% Better also contains descriptions of eating disorders that may be triggering for some listeners. Discretion is advised.
Hey there, my little gappers, and welcome to the 1% Better podcast. I'm your host, Heather, and today I have a very special guest. I have Recovery Dad, as he's affectionately known on TikTok. He is exactly that, a dad who's trying to help out his daughter who is in this eating disorder recovery hell that we know. And in the process has become everyone else's dad. So welcome, Recovery Dad.
Hey, Heather, how's it going?
Good, thank you. All right, so let's talk the aftermath, as I like to call it. How is your daughter now through all those separate treatments, and what do you think?
Well, right now, knock on wood, for the past 2-3 weeks, it's been pretty smooth sailing. Haven't been any outbursts with meals, hasn't been any refusals, and she'll even watch my wife do dinner, make it, and putting oils and butters. Obviously, she's still using the measuring cup, and which I'm not a fan of at all, but I'm not going to rock the boat when things are going pretty well. So I'm happy that she's not refusing. There's no arguments right now. But when she came out of residential and did that for that one day at PHP, no, I'm not going to eat that. No, you just want me to gain weight. I mean, even with some other people, they want to be thinner than me, and some of the stuff was pretty violent outbursts, and the cursing that come out of my daughter's mouth, and the stare, which you like to make the hairs on the back of your neck stand up, because it's like you never in a million years think this sweet little girl, because she is an incredibly sweet and loving kid, when it's Olivia, when it's my daughter, who is a very sweet and caring kid. But when the other voice in her head takes over, wow, two different people.
Yeah, and let's talk about that. So I know, for me, of like, it's being possessed, really, at the end of the day. You are not there. And that stare, you look into their eyes, it's empty. There is no light. Their eyes are a different color, almost like, when you're healthy, your eyes are bright. Yeah. And when did you learn that you were talking to, as I call him, Slick, the demon?
Your term, Slick, that you use?
Yeah, that fucker, man. And how did you know that you were talking to him and not her? Like, what clued in there?
The only reason that we would, a lot of it, I got from TikTok, to learn that, because at first you don't realize that it's two different people, because you're still naive, still new into this whole process. Because granted, this started in October when we started bringing her places when she went to inpatient, and now it's February. That's only like about a 4 to 5 month span, so we're still totally new. And a lot of stuff I did learn on TikTok, that it was a different person. It was the voice in their head, and it wasn't her. doing that, and it took a while, but we both definitely know that it's not Olivia saying those horrible things and the big outbursts and the look. I mean, just the daggers, the death look that she hates you. What you're trying to make her do, but it was hard at first to differentiate the two, to know that it was two different people.
So now she's out. How did Christmas go? Like, how do big family events go with her?
The next year after that, well, she missed that Christmas, and this Christmas, it was just going to be me and my daughter Olivia and my wife and my other daughter were going to go to her parents for Christmas, because which she told us, she's like, I'm not ready for this, because the whole thing is, which I agree with her, she doesn't want to explain herself to people, because these people don't know what's going on with her life, and it's not their place to know, because it's not like we're really close with them. These are my wife's cousins, and are they good people? Yeah. But will they say something stupid? 100%. Without meaning any harm, without meaning it, but it would come out. And so they were going to go and we were going to stay home. But my mother-in-law, credit to her, she's, you know what, like basically like, screw them. I'll tell them all to stay home and you guys come. And so that's what we did. We went there on Christmas Eve, and then we went back on Christmas Day.
Well, that was really nice of your mother-in-law to know the different. And how does your daughter now cope with being out in, I don't know, like with the normal people, so to speak, right? People without an eating disorder. Because I know what I go through on a daily basis, and it's hell, right?
Yeah.
How does she cope with that? Because she is, and I'm old as dirt, right? I'm 45. So just putting myself back, and I have boys your daughter's age, right? I have a 14 and 17-year-old. How does she even just like process all this?
Well, doesn't do too many things. Doesn't feel like really wanting to do too many things. I mean, she goes to a therapist, she goes to a dietitian, psychiatrist, like once a month, or basically you go see a psychiatrist for prescriptions. That's it. That's what they do. They don't really talk to you. Your therapist you talk to. They're just about getting medications. And she goes grocery shopping with my wife, but I did the grocery shopping this week. Me and her went and did that, and we went and had lunch together, which she said, can we go to Panera Bread? Sure. You want to go? You're going to ask me if you want to go eat somewhere with me? I'm going to say yes all the time. But other than that, really doesn't do many things at all, other than a store or an appointment. Oh, other than her horseback riding, which she loves her horseback riding. But those are the only people that she'll come in contact with. And most of those people she knows, other than the shopping.
And how did she deal with, because I have my feelings on it, and how did she deal with, because when she was in the facility for 8 weeks, obviously, and maybe I'm wrong, it's not the same people that she's going to talk to, right? Correct? Like she has to get a new dietitian and a new counselor and a new whoever to talk to. How did she deal with that, having to talk about your shit all over again? That's like the last thing you want to talk about, right?
It was hard, because to find a good therapist and good dietitian, you would never think in a million years it would be that difficult. It was horribly difficult, and a lot of it is her being able to trust this person, especially the therapist, because she's going to tell her things. She's telling this to a stranger, her deepest secrets, and to get her to go back to her childhood eventually, when all her bullying began to snowball, and all this started from that. It was a really tough process. I mean, we went through, after she got out of residential, a few dietitians and a therapist, until we finally found good ones. And she actually likes her therapist. She got her Christmas present, which, if she's like, hey, I want to get her a Christmas present. If you like her that much, do you want, yeah, 100% get it for her, and it was really hard. It took well over almost a year to finally find him, trial and error. And some would say stupid shit. And she just, I can't go back there. And then she found out one was who actually had experience with eating disorders. She worked at a facility before, and that was key. And when we found out that she was going to be leaving a facility and going to private practice, we jumped on it. And so we were really lucky. It's hard to find any that have eating disorder experience and can like specialize in it now. So we got very lucky, finally.
And as a parent, how frustrated are you at this system? Because you understand. I'm listening to you and you understand. And something that I'm very big on an advocate about is talking to somebody who's walked this walk, because people can empathize with you and they can maybe sympathize with you, but they don't freaking get it. I couldn't counsel someone coming off heroin, right? What do I know about heroin?
Not anything.
Nothing. Just so everyone knows, nothing.
Yeah.
So
those people are just book smart. They can read books, they can watch studies and blah, 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 and they'll learn that. But to get somebody who actually has experience in that, it's almost impossible. And the worst thing is you find the ones who do it and they know it. They'll take their history and that a lot of them went through an eating disorder and they recovered. And so they're going to go into this field because they say they want to help. But you know what those people will do? They won't take insurance. You got to pay them. They just choose not to. And they'll go to an area that has money, and they'll know, okay, I'm going to charge these people a couple $100 a session, but I'm not going to take insurance because they know they're going to be booked. And it's horrible. How could you go through this, come on the other side, and then say, the air quotes, I want to help. Yeah, you want to help your pocketbook, man. They don't care. They say they care because it's good PR, and then they won't take insurance because they don't have to. I know that's nothing you have to deal with insurance in Canada, but here, insurance, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad to have that kind of system. And for a while, our insurance wasn't even paying for her dietitian. We found out later that we had to pay for it.
Well, let's talk about that because you brought it up. So the America and paying for things, because again, Canadian, right? Don't really understand everything, but I understand like insurance covers some, but if you want someone good, then you got to pay out of pocket, whatever. I get that. But what would it cost to recover someone in an eating disorder?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's talk you want to know what her residential cost? You want to know what my insurance company paid?
Yeah, if you're comfortable sharing, yeah.
Oh yeah, because we actually we saw the bill, and so it costs just about $1,000 a day or more because for her 8-week stay it was almost $80,000. Yeah, and all that is because they have a private chef. All these meals. I mean, you're talking 3 squares a day, multiple snacks, and obviously they buy good stuff, and you have the RCs, the people who help with the girls. You have a dietitian, you have therapists, and then you have the main 2 directors who at this place were always there. So you could see why it costs so much. I mean, there's a lot of people to pay, and that part, say $80,000. And the inpatient, when she was there, so let's just round it to 2 weeks. That was probably about, probably about 25,000. And because
so we're over 100. Wait, I'm bad at math. Were we like over $100,000?
Over $100,000 in less than about a 3-month span. Just from these 2 places. You're not even talking about the visits prior when we had to go get her checked out because we thought we were going to PHP. the doctor, and it's all so expensive, but luckily we have good insurance for some things. And then we found out that they weren't paying for her dietitian. We started to get claims denied because in America they submit claims
Mm-hmm.
and they submit to your insurance company, and then they pay it or don't pay it. Well, they denied it. So we're sitting at over 100 grand. Plus she had a couple of emergency room visits from inpatient to the hospital campus because she was out of hospital because of the use of laxatives. Her body wasn't getting rid of the waste on her own. So you're talking enemas, you're talking drinks, you're talking all kinds of garbage. And
Yeah.
those, you get the bills for that ambulance ride from here to here on the same campus would have been like $1,000. But
Holy crap! It's only
yeah,
$65 in Canada to take a freaking
yeah. And
ambulance.
this is
Holy crap! We
about
get
a
dinged
block.
for that.
It's in the same. You could see the building. You could see the hospital. It's right there. You could walk there in 10 minutes, but it has to be done this way. I mean, is it a scam a bit? Oh, yeah. But that was about $1,000 for that ride. And then the emergency room visit. So, when all said and done, from like October to the following February, you're probably talking about $125,000 to $150,000. If you didn't have insurance, what that would have cost you. Maybe a little less because a lot of places will give you a deal. If you have the money and you're paying, they'll cut you some slack because they're getting it cash right from you. They're not waiting for an insurance company. They're not waiting for claims. You're paying, so they'll cut you some kind of discount. But it was probably about $125,000 in about a 4 or 5
Holy
month span.
Christ! So, and you've already come out and said that place wasn't worth the freaking money. So, like, what? What?
Yeah. But luckily, they paid, the insurance company, they paid, and it got her to a healthy weight. That's it. But it was too new, but we were just extremely happy of how close it was. So she would never go there again. She would go someplace else. But hopefully, we never have to.
So, and not to give, like, don't give numbers or anything, but Olivia right now, how do you think she's coping with everything?
She's actually lately been doing, like I said, pretty good. She's still, a lot of times I'll joke with her. I'll be eating something. I'm like, hey, you want to try this? No, no. I said, come on, you want to just take a little bite? I would kind of always smiling and joking. She'd be like, you annoy me. I'm like, what? And then she'd give me a little stare, a smile. She's like, I'm kind of kidding, I'm kind of not. And she's like, but you do. I said, okay. I said, I'm always going to try because one day you're going to say, yeah, let me get a bite of that. And that's the day I'm hoping for. But we know it's still far in the future, unfortunately, to where she's at a point where she can do that. I mean, get off the measuring cups and just like use the handful thing, throw a handful instead of like yesterday we had pasta. She's putting it in the king, measuring it in this glass measuring to get a cup in there, and I'm just keeping quiet because she is doing pretty well.
And what would your message to parents going through this right now? What all your knowledge that you have and all the shit that you've gone through, what do you want them to know?
Everything you're going to say at the beginning is going to be totally wrong. Don't take it personally that your kid is going to, not your kid, the eating disorder is going to hate you, is going to say the most vile things that you would never think your little girl, mostly little girls, because there are some boys, your little girl would ever say to you. So take it to a point, but you just have to learn. The most important thing is that's not them. It's the voice in their head telling them to say these things. That's one of the hardest things we finally had to learn was that it's like, it's a mental illness. It's not a weight illness. It's not eating. Even though it's called the eating disorder, it's not a food thing. It's all in your head. It's a mental illness, and people don't know that.
Yeah, it's it's a mental illness. So where do you think you go from here now?
With Olivia, it's hopefully slowly. I mean, we're going really slow with her dietitian. I mean, would I like it to go a little bit faster? Oh yeah, because you figure, well, if you go faster, you're going to be done, and she's going to be fully recovered faster. But I've even done videos about that, and the comments would be great. I love it. They're like, if she's going slow and the boat isn't getting rocked, and she's even just staying the same weight and staying there for a while, take that as a win because she's not going backwards. So even though I don't want it to stay that way, but I said, okay, I get your point. So it would just slowly progress and up her plan a little bit and just going to go really slow. Would I love it to go faster? 100%, absolutely. We would, to be the point where she would just see something, just want to eat it because she likes the taste. She would repeatedly say, I don't like that, which I know is a flat out lie because you used to love it. And you don't all of a sudden, have I hate that taste. No, you like it. I don't like that texture. No, you're lying. You love it still. But to where she would just like go out to like dinner with us someday and just eat off the menu and not get the same thing she gets now, or just go to this one particular place she likes to go because it's safe to just get something. That would be a happy, happy day.
Right on. Right on. Well, every day's a new day, right?
Yeah.
That's all we can do. Well, Recover Dad, I want to thank you for hanging out with me. Tell everyone where they can find you.
On the TikTok, it's at RecoveryDad72 because just at RecoveryDad, somebody already had it. So I had to put a 72 at the end because that's the year I was born. You think you're old. I'm be 52 in a couple of weeks, so I'm old. But at RecoveryDad72 on TikTok.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining me, my friend.
Not a problem. I'm always willing to help you, Heather. You know that. From the one day that somebody sent me one of your videos about a book, the Tabitha for our book, and they sent me one of your videos, and I was your survival guide, your tips, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna follow her, and bam, look where we are now.
It's funny how the universe works, right?
Yeah, it truly is. Truly is.
It is what it is. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Not a problem. You're very welcome.
Hey there, my low gappers, and welcome to the 1% Better podcast. I'm your host, Heather, and I got a very special guest today. I have Recovery Dad, as he's affectionately known on the TikTok, and he is just that, a dad trying to get his teenage daughter better with this eating disorder recovery hell that we have all been living, and now has become everyone's dad on TikTok. Welcome, Recovery Dad.
Hey, Heather, how's it going?
Good. So let's talk measuring cups. Mm-hmm. That's your Roman Empire.
Yeah. 100%. Every time every meal, obviously for me, even though I only see it like on the weekends, I'll see it every meal. But during the week, I'll just see dinner. But still, even though I see him way fewer than my wife, drives me absolutely crazy because if it's not to the line, if it goes over, she'll be picking stuff out. And every time I see that, it drives me a little crazy. And I don't, say anything. We don't, because like I said before, she's having a good run the past few weeks, not backsliding. And so it's like a catch-22, damned if you do, damned if you don't. But I don't want to say something, even though we want to and we can't stand them. No.
So what would be your perfect world? Like, when do you just be like, yeah, okay, we got to bite the bullet here. The measure cup's got to go. You throw them out the window and just say, fuck it.
It's like we would go to like the handfuls. They would, and when they would scoop something, to where it's not a measuring spoon, or it's just like a spoon. You just scoop it and throw it in. But I know that'll be down the road some because, like I said, she's doing okay. She's kind of leveled off in her weight progression. She's not losing, so that's a huge plus. But yeah, that would be an ecstatic day where if we could just toss out every one of those and not use them at all. But we know that's not going to happen anytime soon.
And is that something for her to work towards with a counselor, a dietitian, like
that? Oops. That would be her dietitian would have to be the one to talk about that. It wouldn't be a therapist or anything like that. It would be the dietitian. Actually, but we would be the ones to do it.
Yeah, and I mean, I understand it. I've lived it. I know how much. Oh God, like those things are everything to you, right? Like they're like your children, or like, no, don't, because the world's going to end if you have one more shreddy than the cup fucking holds.
Yeah.
But you have to get to the point of you get there eventually, right?
Yeah.
Like it's a matter of like you do it for breakfast, but maybe not for lunch, and you can do it for dinner. Like you have to slowly. It's like quitting smoking, really. Like it's another addiction. You have to quit this addiction.
100%.
Within an addiction.
Yeah.
And another like it's just addiction city, right?
Yeah, it's like baby steps. You can't just all of a sudden. That's a great idea. I never even thought of that. Because I'm old and don't think of a lot of things. But that's good. We're like, okay, we could bring that to her therapist, or not their therapist, or dietitian. Be like, hey, can you ask her if maybe at dinner she doesn't use the measuring cup? Okay, right now it's still good for breakfast, lunch. She doesn't use it for snacks because snacks is usually just like yogurts. It's thing that's already rolled, and you don't have to measure. And but yeah, that would be like a good baby step. Would be just for one meal. See how helpful you are, man. I never even thought of that. Just let's try it. Yeah, because I'm just like want to take it and just throw it all out.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the person who had I'd be like wringing your neck, fucking don't touch my measuring cups. Oh my God. Because you get in such a ritual. You need this, and we all do it, so don't even say it's not you, because I know fucking liars. We have the same bowl, the same spoon, the same cup. We're like two. We're like toddlers. Like you can't use not the giraffe cup. I need my train cup, and if you don't have the train cup, the world's melting down. I know it all. I know. I understand, right? And also the thing is, like when you're using measuring cups on a long period of basis, you know that measurement. So she could, I could lay money on it. She could, and she'd be dead on. I know she would be.
Mm-hmm. But
so it's just a matter of like, could you do that? Maybe like tell her, hey, why don't you just grab the cereal? You can still have your measuring cup. Grab it with your hand, put it in the bowl, and then we will measure it into the cup just to see if you're right. Because odds are she is.
Yeah, she'll probably be. You could probably do that, and it would be like level with like the mark because she's so good. Just eyeballing it, seeing what's in there. That would be a good step as well. But I definitely like the one where we get rid of it for one meal. That would be great, just for one thing. But like I said, baby steps. But yeah, those are a couple of really good ideas. Really good.
Just because, like, for her to have the confidence knowing, oh, I do know how to measure this out. Like, I'm not trying to keep her in the eating disorder, but it's like, no, I know what I'm doing.
Right.
Right? So that's one less crutch, I guess. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, like a little bit at a time. Like with the one meal, let's try it. But I like that. That's good.
And how does so Olivia doesn't have social media. You've said this before, right?
No, she does. But she's blocked from my page. She does
from your page.
Yeah, she has TikTok and she has Instagram. but her the TikTok page for me for the Recovery Dad 72, she's blocked. I went to it and I told her, I'm going to block you. She's like, okay, that's fine. So I went to her
Yeah.
account right
No,
there.
that's
She was even
better.
there. I said, boom, there you are, blocked. That's fine. She doesn't
Do
see
you
any of these, but she sees some. There's very few I let her see, but she's seen some of them.
do you worry that she's watching certain people on social media?
Oh, I know she has. She's even. She's never. She knows of one of the most famous ones. You've done videos on her. I don't even want to mention her name, so I'm not gonna.
No, don't.
Yeah,
Don't.
I know. And
No,
she
not,
knows.
not just because I don't want to give her any more power than what
Yeah,
she already
yeah.
has,
That's why,
right?
because it's horrible, and she doesn't. I've seen her following list, and she doesn't. Obviously, she could do a search and find her, but she's not. She's past that point. My daughter, she doesn't like to watch things like that. She's basically her social media is art and her cat and little videos that she makes, and she's never in any of them at all. So she has Instagram and she has TikTok. She doesn't have Facebook or anything else like that. Just Instagram and TikTok, and mainly most of her accounts, even on Instagram, is for her art because she's a hell of an artist. But before we used to worry about YouTube and her other stuff. She has YouTube, but she's not allowed to delete any histories because my wife or I can check at any time.
And that's the one great thing about Olivia. She has art, like it's art therapy, right? At the end of the day, I can't draw a stick man to save my life, but I've seen the kids' art and she's really, really, really good. So, I mean, that's got to be some people. I'm a talker. Clearly, this is why I have a podcast, right?
Right.
And that's how I get out my feelings, right? But she does art. A lot of people do art. Some people sew, some people knit. You got to find what brings you some sort of peace.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
And she is really. I mean, she's been drawing since she was probably 8, 7, 8, where she started really get good, and you could tell. So she's been drawing, like 8, 9 years, more than half her life, and she's very good. Her style is excellent, and I could tell by looking at it immediately. And people pay her for commissions and to draw this, and she sells characters basically on Instagram. You'll like sell the right to that character, and she shows me. And whenever I compliment her on see it, I can see it in her face. She loves it. Maybe she get a little bit embarrassed sometimes, but when I'm like, wow, kiddo, I'm like, that's unbelievable. That is awesome, and she loves it, and she's great at it.
Okay, so here's where you plug their dad. What's her IG? Where do we go to get some Olivia art?
I'm sorry?
This is your time to plug her IG. Where do we go to get her art on? Like, how do we buy it? What's her Instagram account?
You broke
We'll
up.
put it
I
up.
can't
We'll
hear
put it in the
anything you're
comments.
saying now.
Uh-oh. 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 I don't want to do anything. Close
Can you hear me?
other tabs. What
No.
happened?
You're totally gone.
I don't want to stop.
Hello? No?
That's all for this episode of 1% Better. To continue the conversation, head over to our website at www.1percentbetter.ca, where you can access more stories and resources. We'd also love it if you subscribed and left us a review on your favorite podcast platform. And remember, friends, progress takes patience, perspective, and sometimes a little help from people who get it. So be kind to yourself and others as we work to get 1% better every day. We'll see you back here next week.